Welcome back to the Big Lad podcast. It has been quite a while, to be quite honest. There's been a lot of stuff going on over the last couple of months, which is why the podcast has been on the back burner. I think it has been about 5 months. I have actually recorded this solo podcast once before, but I didn't really plan it out, so I've got a load of notes on my phone now. So I'm going to be a bit more smooth with it because it was very off the cuff. I sort of sat down after work and just fancied doing a solo podcast. But watching it back, I wasn't overly happy with it. So I've wrote some notes down and yeah, we're going to go through properly what has been going on and what I've been up to and what to expect in the near future. So as you may be aware, if you follow me on Instagram or anything like that, I moved out in October last year, so was really busy with that, doing decorating, things like that take up quite a lot of time. So I had to put a lot of things on the back burner. But at the same time as that, I was also revising for my final management accountancy exam, which I passed. So I'm now a qualified management accountant. I was also training for the British Rowing Indoor Championships, which was in December. So I had a lot of stuff going on, and I just had to put stuff, like I say, on the back burner, and the podcast was one of them. I still had clients to look after, and I also pretty much put the Instagram content again on the back burner, just shifting my priorities for what was going on at the time, which is why you've not seen a podcast in 5 or 6 months. But we are back. All that's out the way now, pretty much. There's still stuff to do on the house. There's always going to be stuff. But the main stuff is pretty much done. So I have got people booked in already for the podcast. I'm no longer doing seasons. It's going to be episode based, because previously the reason for seasons were the fact that I did have times of inconsistency just due to being busier with life and things like that going on. I'm sort of moving away from the season 1, season 2, season 3. It's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back through all my episodes and renumber them. But it's not too big of an issue. Also, then moving on after Christmas was training for Hyrox in Madrid, which is now like nearly 6 weeks ago. That is absolutely flown by. It was a good experience, I'm not going to lie. It was harder than expected, mainly because me and my mate that I did it with, we trained once together. So, yeah. And as I've done previously, I've not given myself enough time to train for these things. It was literally like, I think 8 weeks or something like that. And then you include me going to New York on holiday for nearly a week. And yeah, just other things getting in the way. So really not a good way to prep for it at all. Don't get me wrong, we still did well. We got a 116 with pretty much no game plan. One of the main drawbacks was my running. I'm probably about 15 to 20 kilos heavier than my mate that I was doing it with. So trying to lug like 105 to 107 kilos round for a Hyrox is, yeah, really not a good idea, especially when I didn't do enough running prior to it, and mainly due to the time that I actually had to train for it. So I will hold my hands up there. Another thing with the Hyrox as well, really didn't have a good week or so going into it. So just over a week before, I had food poisoning. So from Saturday until about Wednesday, I was absolutely written off, didn't work out at all. I then didn't work out until the Friday, which was a light session, and then it was the week after was the Hyrox. So on that week, I just trained too much, trying to make up for not doing anything the week before. It should have just been a complete deload and just take over, but yeah, I was a bit stupid. I would usually have a really good deload going into any of my events, but yeah, a bit of stupidity came over me, and I did train too much that week. I was playing football, I was going to the gym, I was running, and then not only that, we were going to Madrid on the Friday. The Hyrox was on the Saturday. We were up at 3 a.m. on Friday morning to fly to Madrid because we had the first flight out of Manchester. So pretty much slept about 3 hours the night before, if that. And then because we're just stupid and got bored, we ended up doing like 22,000 steps around Madrid. And woke up the next day with sort of achy feet, achy legs, shattered, really crap night's sleep in the hotel as well. So really fatigued going in to the actual Hyrox itself. So that is something that definitely needs improving next time. So who knows, if we were fresh, may have been able to take a good few minutes off that anyway. But 116 is the time that we got, and it is definitely beatable next time. In terms of the exercises, we were pretty even, I would say. So we know what we need to do next time. We need to do some more running and just train together in general. So, yeah, we've said that we're going to do another one. We just need to look at a date and then really, like I say, start training together, put a real proper training plan together. We've both got various injuries, knee related. I've been sort of struggling a little bit with my Achilles as well for probably about 4 or 5 months. Wake up in the morning, it's like really stiff and aches a little bit. And then sort of eases off throughout the day. It's really strange, so I'll probably need to get that looked at. My mate's got an issue with his knee as well, so it's just those little things that we need to sort out and then really plan the next one and get it smashed, because there's no reason we can't get down towards the hour mark. Knowing now what is expected next time, it's going to give us a lot better of an understanding of what we need to do and how we need to go about it on the day. Moving on from that as well, if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I've started a clothing brand called Thick Thighs Clothing. It is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. It actually stemmed from a different idea, which is around trousers, hence the thick thighs. I've not got like the world's biggest quads, but they're big enough and my waist is small enough that it causes me issues when it comes around to buying trousers and shorts. So my idea was to create a brand that went off not only your waist measurement, but then your quad measurement, and obviously if there were trousers, calf measurements. And that would obviously create multiple problems in terms of stock, because you're not just stocking for waist then, you could be stocking for 3 or 4 different quad sizes per waist size. So you're going to essentially increase the amount of stock that you need by 3 or 4 times. And it could potentially be quite expensive, but not to say that's not going to happen in the future. It could still be a direction this goes in. But Thick Thighs Clothing at the moment is a manual order basis. So because it's at the start, I didn't want to order in a load of stock. So I'm taking orders by DM. So at the moment, we started off with t-shirts. We've got 3 different designs. One is a printed design, which is a juiced design. So it's a juice box. So it's juiced across the back, a little bit of a joke. They're going to change up every couple of months. So it's going to be a limited run of each design. And it's almost like a collector's item. Then we've got the thick t-shirt, which is an oversized t-shirt, really good quality t-shirt that is, it's hard to explain. It's like a fitted oversized t-shirt, which is exactly what I wanted. Good weight to it, good fitting, and it is the best seller so far. I've been live for just over a month, I think, was the first order. So yeah, I've had quite a lot of orders, quite a lot of good feedback. Really looking forward to where I can take this brand. Also, there's one other t-shirt which is called the Titty Tee. It is the TT logo across the titty, essentially. So yeah, there's 3 designs at the moment. Whilst I am taking manual orders via DM, people can order any colour they want. So when I start taking stock, I'm going to have to limit the colours that I take, because obviously I'm going to have to take a lot of stock if I'm trying to stock every single colour. And it's early days, so it's going to be a big outlay for me personally, which I'm not willing to risk at this stage. So whilst I'm taking manual orders and placing manual orders on my supplier, you can have any colour that you want. So if you are interested, drop me a DM before it is too late, because there's a chance that your favourite colour may not be around for too much longer in terms of stocking. As I say, I've had a lot of good feedback, so I am really excited of where it can go. Got plenty of designs and prints already designed, and they are absolute belters, so I am looking forward to seeing what everyone thinks. But yeah, I've had really good feedback, so if you are interested, drop me a DM ASAP. Then we are going to move on to a slightly different topic. So it's been a topic of conversation a little bit recently about me not being necessarily satisfied with everything that I'm doing. So don't get me wrong, I am proud of what I've done, what I've achieved, but in terms of me not being satisfied, I feel like I struggle sometimes to be like happy of where I'm at. I'm not saying like I've got any mental health issues, not depressed or anything like that. Just in terms of being like sort of satisfied and happy with my achievements, it's always sort of on to the next thing. And I was speaking to my brother about this recently, and he's had the same sort of discussions with his girlfriend, that he never seems to be like happy with anything that he has achieved or necessarily like satisfied, and it's always on to the next thing. And we sort of discussed about it, and it might be due to just like the way we were brought up. I'm not saying we had a bad upbringing, we had a great upbringing, but we were always brought up to be better than average, because we were always told, well, not just told, it these days it's not hard to be better than average, especially in our generation. There's so many lazy people out there, and we're in the times now where it is so easy to be better than average and achieve more, and we've got everything pretty much at our hands. Like, this is one of the most powerful tools in the world if you can use it right. But we've both sort of said that we've never really been able to properly celebrate things. It's like I say, it's a well done, like, acknowledge it and then crack on, next thing. It was almost sort of expected of us as a kid. Yeah, like I say, to be better than average. And yeah, like, not to blow like smoke up my own ass or anything like that, but most things in my life are better than average. Like, I've moved out into a house younger than the national average. I've got a decent job, things like that. It's, for me, like, it was just like a given that was going to happen, sort of thing. Like, not wasn't like an expectation, but it wasn't seen as something like amazing that I've done it. Like, I moved out into the house, sort of got a little dopamine hit when got the keys, and yeah, that was it. It was on to the next thing. Like, it didn't, like, there wasn't that buzz or celebration there for that long. And I don't know, it's just something that I constantly feel like I'm not doing enough, which is why you see me doing like my for starters, my day job, podcast, the online coaching, the clothing brand, playing football, helping out coaching with it as well. And yeah, this basically brings me on then to ADHD, which is what I've been told by many people in my life, that they wouldn't be surprised if I had ADHD. Now, probably that is down to me spinning a lot of plates, and I have, like I say, I've got a lot of interests, and I do feel like sometimes I am doing too much, or maybe spreading myself a little bit too thin with it all, and maybe I should sort of lock down on maybe 2 or 3 of them instead of trying to do everything all the time. I'm obviously not even close to being able to hire people to help me out to do these things. It's essentially a hobby at this point. So yeah, but with the ADHD stuff, I can get really easily distracted, especially if it's something that I'm not interested in, and I will go and do something else. But this sometimes then leads to a lot of open-ended tasks, and it's one of those things that I'm not a fan of, like, the labeling of it and stuff, but I've had messages over the years of, especially on Instagram, I've had it off a couple of friends as well, saying like, I genuinely don't know how you do everything. And there's a few different reasons why I managed to get everything done, but I feel like my Instagram comes across like I have everything nailed down, which I definitely don't. like like most things, like, Instagram is a highlight reel. I tend to try and keep it away from the highlight stuff. I put pretty much everything up there if I can. But yeah, I get everything done because when I am focused on something, I do everything there is to get done in a very efficient way. I don't like messing around. I don't like wasting time when I'm doing something that I care about. When it's stuff that I'm not really interested in, I can like I say, very easily get distracted from it. But I use really simple techniques to actually get everything done. I use tick lists. So especially in my notes app, there's that tick list function. You get that little dopamine hit every time you tick one off. I also use actual manually written tick lists, which I use mainly for my day job. I have a sort of diary that I write all my to-do lists out on. I sometimes also do that with other things like fitness, my content, and things like that. So, yeah, just a really basic way of tracking your progress throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. I also use my calendar quite a lot to organize my time. I haven't done it properly for a good couple of months now, which is why I feel like I've not been very productive, especially towards the start of this year. I know I've had a lot on and stuff, but that has slipped, and I think that has then cascaded down to things like content, the podcast, because I could have started this up probably a couple of weeks back now. I've just been not necessarily like procrastinating on it, but waiting almost for it to be the right time. And I think quite often it's not going to be the right time to start anything. You just need to get going and get it done, basically. Like the first couple of episodes may not be the best ones coming back. It has been, like I say, I think it was about 5 months since the last one went live. So I have had 5 months of not speaking to a microphone. And don't get me wrong, solo podcasting is 100% way harder than when you've got a guest on. Because at least when you've got a guest on, there's a two-way conversation. I am literally looking into the eye of a camera here. And you try and just sit in a room and speak to yourself, or have a conversation in your room to a blank wall, you'll think you're going insane. Like, I'm sat here, I can see myself on a screen as well, because I'm recording through my podcasting software, Riverside, because it helps me get clips with like some AI technology. But I can see that out the corner of my eye. I'm talking directly into a camera with no one else speaking back. It is so hard, but I'm so glad that I've got guests coming back on. Like I say, I've got some episodes already booked in, and I'm looking forward to just having really good in-depth conversations about different topics. There's some great guests coming up. I've spoke to quite a lot of people. Really interesting people are ready to come on. It's literally a case of now booking some of them in. Like I say, I've got a couple of them already booked in. There's others I need to just literally sort a date. So stay tuned and listen, watch, wherever you sort of digest your podcast content. But yeah, another thing in terms of why I can see, like I've just segued then, but another thing that helps me get stuff done is I don't really enjoy watching TV. Now that sounds a bit mad because everyone watches TV. The only thing I really enjoy watching are the football and some YouTube. I watch quite a lot of podcasts on YouTube just because I like sometimes to see people's emotions and at the actual conversation happening, because I feel like it can be a bit dull if you're just listening to it in your ears sometimes, depending on who the guest is and what podcast it is. I watch very few YouTubers, mainly like Christian Guzman, Steve Cook back in the day before he started, well, before he had like a break. I think he's having a kid or something now. But like that was back in the day. Mike Thurston, there's not really anyone else that I watch anymore. Quite a lot of them have faded away and I've lost interest in. Watch some, like there's one car YouTuber I watch, and mainly because his quality of video is so cinematic, it is unreal. And I do have like a side passion for like cars and things like that, mainly Porsche. That is a dream of mine. So I like watching Porsche videos because I'm like not manifesting it. I hate that word, but like keeping the sort of dream alive, sort of thing. So yeah, because I don't watch TV or the crap series that people watch, I just find it mushes your brain, to be quite honest. And the obsession that people get over shit TV and series and episodes of stuff baffles me, because it is such, for me, a waste of time. I know people find joy in it. that's fine, but for me, I just see it as a complete and utter waste of time, especially reality TV, like the obsession over Love Island and things like that. These are people that are absolute nobodies turned into celebrities for doing literally nothing. They sit around a pool and argue and create drama, and somehow they come out the other end of it with millions of followers and brand deals. But yeah, that's just my opinion. So I obviously save a lot of time by not sitting in front of the TV quite a lot, and that's how I get stuff done, really. But like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, I don't like the labeling of everything these days. Like, I don't see the need or point of putting a label on something. Just because I show a few signs of ADHD doesn't necessarily mean I've got ADHD. I just have some similarities of those characteristics. And I'm really not interested in getting any test done because I don't think it's going to benefit me in any way. Like I say, it's just going to put a label on it if I do somehow like come out with ADHD on the back of it. I won't change anything off the back of it, and it's not going to benefit me by knowing. So I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing. I know what I need to do quite a lot of the time. Like I say, it's just sometimes it's a little bit of drive that I need, and I do, like anyone, go through periods of really high drive and motivation, and sometimes it dips off. It's just using that discipline to really push through those times. And I do have that sort of almost excuse that I have been really busy over the last 6 months, but now there is not a lot really in the way. I've passed my exams. I haven't actually got any other events coming up until I've got Tough Mudder in September. I am potentially looking, I was looking at doing one in, as of today, it'd be like 5 weeks on Sunday. I think it's, what date would it be? The 19th of May. I was looking at doing one, but like I say, I've had a little bit of a niggle with my Achilles. I've still been playing football. It's been all right, to be honest, but it's one of those things that is sort of just doing my head in a little bit, and I don't want to make it worse by then training pretty intensely for a rowing event. I've also had a little bit of a niggle with my calf, and I don't know if that's something to do with the Achilles. But I'm going to go get it looked at by a physio. I've got one session from work. For whatever reason, my booper with work wouldn't allow me to have regular sports massages because I wanted them for like preventative measure and just general maintenance. They wouldn't give me them unless I had a genuine injury, which made no sense because the whole point of it was to stop having an injury. So now that I've got potentially like a little injury, I'm going to use that session and hopefully they can do me a write-up to say that I am genuinely injured now and I do need these sessions. So yeah, that is my main focus at the moment. Just genuinely wanting to sort of cut down weight a little bit for football. I am a heavy human, and that does take its toll throughout a game. So I do need to cut down and just increase that baseline level of fitness. Like, I'm reasonably fit anyway. I just need to take it up a notch again because obviously if I'm trying to compete with people who are 20, 30 kilos lighter, if we're at the same fitness level, I'm going to eventually gas out quicker than they are. What I mean by same fitness level is like my, say, 80% fitness level and their 80% fitness level, their 80% is going to last a lot longer than mine, just purely due to muscle mass and weight kicking in. So that I end up gassing out because muscle is going to take up a lot of energy. So I just need to be aware of that, cut down a bit, and just increase that baseline level of fitness a little bit higher. And then we can start looking at potentially some other events. Again, I'm tempted to potentially do another triathlon this year. Weather is starting to get better, so I will be getting out on my bike anyway. But we will have to see if there's any events that sort of excite me. I've done 2 different ones, and I'd probably do a different one this time, or potentially do the one that I've only done once in, I think it was Liverpool Uni, just to see if I can beat my time from last year, essentially. But yeah, that is the sort of general update for now. There's, like I say, a lot of guests coming on. I'm looking to get the content back on the run. Podcast is going to help that because, like I say, my software automatically clips up some stuff for me. So it's low effort stuff that I can just repost and post it across multiple social medias, so like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, depending on the length of it. And we can just go from there. Hoping to really have a good stint on the podcast now. It is something that I really enjoy. I started it back in lockdown, and it was mainly because I was planning in 2020 to go and meet up with people that I knew from Instagram, because I'd made all these connections. I wanted to then go and meet up with them, do a workout, see how they work out, see how they train, and yeah, just essentially collaborate with them. But COVID and lockdown stopped all that, so I decided to start a podcast up and just basically speak to those same people. But because of the lockdown, it got not lonely, because I lived in a house of 6 with a dog, but it was just someone different to have a different conversation with instead of the same 5 other people that I was speaking to on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, it is something that I really enjoy doing, having those different conversations and trying to gain some knowledge from different people, and hopefully it helps you guys, the listeners. It's not just about me enjoying it. That is obviously the main reason. I would probably still do it if there was minimal views, but luckily I have got a little bit of a following on this, and I'm really appreciative of anyone that listens, likes, posts on Instagram, whatever. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, I think we're going to round this one up here. Pretty quick one, mainly due to it being a solo podcast, and I feel like I'm going insane talking to myself in this room. So for now, I don't think I have anything else to speak about. But if you could please go to the Instagram, the Big Lad Podcast, drop it a follow, like any recent content if you can. Also, drop a follow on the clothing page, which is Thick Thighs Clothing. Again, I really do appreciate anyone that's supporting. You don't even necessarily have to buy something, just follow it and like the post so the page grows, because then just by you doing that, other people might see it that may purchase a top in the end, and that would mean a hell of a lot to me. But for that one, we will round it up here. I hope you've enjoyed listening. If you have, please drop it a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.